name is Mary, and today I'm going to be talking about Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the Hammer of Thor. So I actually went back and watched a little bit of my review of The Sword of Summer, which if you haven't read this one, you have to read the first one, which is The Sword of Summer. And I have changed so much since then. So if you want to see like a slightly cringe-worthy version of what my reviews used to be like, go back and watch that one. If not, just keep watching this one and hopefully it'll be a little less cringe-worthy. So as usual, I just love the cover. I liked the colors of the other one, The Sword of Summer, a lot better. This one has like this green and then the yellow and then blue. And we've got, I'm thinking that this is Thor, and I know that this is Loki, and I know that this is Magnus. I don't know what this is. I'm assuming it's supposed to be the hammer, but it doesn't look like a hammer, or an axe, or really any kind of weapon. I have no idea what that is. And I'm assuming that this right here was Jotunheim because they visit that and that's like where Loki's from and the ice giants and all of that. And they still have like the little insignia and the nice letters and the gilded raised text is still there, and so are the funny chapter titles. So I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads for several reasons. This book was very politically correct. And by that I mean they had so many diverse characters. And don't get me wrong, diverse characters are great. But I feel like that they weren't well done. I feel like that these characters were just kind of forced upon you, like, oh yeah, we've got this, and oh yeah, there's this now, and oh yeah, this is kind of what we're trying to like tell the people to believe or say or something, so they're like throwing it at us. And I feel like that hindered the story quite a bit. And I do think that the story's going to get better further on and that the characters will develop and I'll end up liking them a lot more, but it just seemed a little forced to me. Hearthstone being deaf was still done so well. I love it. And if they had just focused on that as their diverseness, then I think that the story would have gone so much better. Because my favorite part of this book was part of Hearthstone's story for this. But Alex and Sam's part of the story, and Alex is a new character that you will meet. I'm not going to really spoil anything in the non-spoilery section, but it just didn't flow as well as I thought that it should. But I still felt that the book was good. The story was good, but I think that the humor was a little overdone in this one. Usually Rick Riordan has such a good balance between story and the humor to make it more lighthearted, and this time it just didn't flow like that. And of course, I'm not a big fan of sequels in the series. Like, even The Sea of Monsters is my least favorite of the Percy Jackson series, and that's the second one in the series. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a good series continuer to like push it into the story, but I just did not enjoy this one as much as I had hoped. I'm still going to continue with the story because I feel like it can go places, and I think Rick Riordan can redeem himself in the writing of this story. Plus, Norse mythology is a little more tricky, especially because not as many people have a background in it, and I'm still going to have to go and read some of the stories so that I can understand where the story is going. But that's it for the non-spoilery bit, so I'm going to get into deep conversation about the actual book. So if you have not read this, leave now, go read The Sword of Summer, go read The Hammer of Thor, and then come back and finish the video. Bye! And hello, spoilery section people! So I think the first thing that I want to talk about is that Loki's symbol is shown a lot through this, and that would be, let's see if I can find it. It's this symbol right here. Focus. So it's two snakes curled in an elaborate S pattern with their tails looped around each other's heads. And it's technically a symbol of Loki, which is flexibility, change, and slipperiness. But later on in the story, Alex talks about how it's not just a symbol of Loki, it's a symbol that was created that Loki claimed as his own, but she liked it because she's gender fluid, and so the changeability really suits her, and so she's claiming it as her own, not because she's a child of Loki. And I really liked that, saying I am not who my parents are, and I love my parents so much. They are the best thing about, I have like the best of them in me, and I love them so much. But coming to college, I've realized that not everybody has that amazing parent set, and this book really shows the dynamic between a kid not wanting to grow up and be their parents, or not having a good relationship with their parents, which makes me sad, honestly, because I have such a good relationship with my parents, and sometimes I just want to share them with everybody because I'm like, oh, you don't have a good relationship with your dad, but my dad's the best person I know, so I want to share him with you. But they cover that dynamic really, really well. We get a little more into the shape-shifting. So in the first book, we got to see Sam turn into a horsefly and help with the whole crafting to the death thing. In the first book, Sam didn't want to shapeshift or use the powers that she got from her dad Loki because she felt like it gave him more of a claim over her. And we get to see the claim over her that she's talking about when they go to the Wit's Cave and they're like, oh, Loki shows up, snaps his fingers, and she's in a coma. And I'm like, wait, what? She's in a coma? And yeah, she like fell into a coma, and later on we meet Alex, who is gender fluid. Most of the time she's a girl in the books, I'm gonna call her she. And so she, her mom is Loki, which is different. In the stories, Loki is a mom to several people in the myths. And so I guess that kind of makes sense since she's a shapeshifter, but since Loki's a shapeshifter. But then Magnus asks Alex if she shapeshifts the genders, and she's like, it doesn't work that way. So I kind of want to see, maybe she didn't get that power, or how does that work exactly? But Alex just really takes control of her shapeshifting powers, is always using it, and Sam is really worried that that's going to give Loki more control over her. But Alex is like, oh, no. This is my power. I'm not using it because I got it from my mom or my dad. I didn't use it because I got it from Loki. I'm using it because it's my power. I'm not claiming Loki as anything to me. And so at the end of the book, she's able to actually resist Loki a lot more. And she's trying to teach Sam how to resist him more, which is going to be hard because Sam is still stuck in her mindset of that the more she uses her powers, the more control Loki has over her. Even though she tried to resist Loki and was the only reason that she's actually alive now, because at the end of the book he willed their hearts to stop beating and their lungs to stop breathing. And that's insane. So let's talk about Hearthstone for a minute. So if you recall, he is an elf, but he was born deaf, and since he's not perfect. That's something that the parents just were really ashamed about. And because he was deaf, he had his back turned to his older brother and was playing with stuff. And his brother got attacked by this wolf, and he couldn't hear anything that was happening. And so his brother died. And that wasn't his fault. He wasn't supposed to be looking out for him or anything, but the thing was that his parents blamed him for it. His parents didn't like him because he was deaf, for one, and two, and they were ashamed of him, and two, they liked his brother more. And so when Hearthstone was present and didn't know what was going on because he was deaf, they totally blamed him for it. We get to this point of the story and where they have to go get this stone from Hearthstone's dad in order to save Blitzen, and we really get to see the amount of pain that he's gone through. In the first book, when Magnus heals Hearthstone, he gets just this sense of not a will to live and just darkness and despair, and he doesn't really understand, and he thought that, oh, maybe his dad beat him because he was deaf. And what we find out is just so much worse. After his brother died, his dad forced him to skin the animal and the pelt is laid in his room, and now he has to cover it with coins to pay off the debt. Like, not a single piece of fur can be seen. So they're in Hearthstone's room, and mounted on the walls, classroom-sized whiteboards display to-do lists written in neat block letters. Your own laundry, twice weekly, equals 2 plus gold. Sweep the floors, both levels, 2 plus gold. Worthy tasks, plus 5 gold. Others were in red. Each meal, negative 3 gold. 1 hour of free time, negative 3 gold. Embarrassing failures, negative 10 gold. I counted maybe dozens of lists like this, along with hundreds of motivational statements like, never forget your responsibility, strive to be worthy, normalcy is the key to success. And this is his bedroom. This is the room that his parents forced him to live in, and is forcing him to pay back. We meet his father, and he's signing stuff. I want to know sign language after this book. I really do. But he's signing to communicate with his father. His father knows sign language too. And he goes, none of those useless signs. Use the slate. And is making him write on the slate and then holds it up. Because he doesn't like the sign language. He's like, that's not speaking. That just drove me insane. I wanted to chuck the book across the room. I was so mad at this character. And honestly, I believe that he deserved what came to him. They took this dwarf's ring and treasure and stuff in order to pay back the debt that he had to pay. And the ring is cursed, and we get the Hearthstone's dad puts the ring on, and he gets greedy and even worse, and it just amplifies all of his negativity, and he just loses his mind. And honestly, I believe that he deserved that, because I hate him so much. Of all of the characters in here, I hate him the worst. I hate him the most. So we're trying to keep Sam from having to marry this giant because her father, Loki, has arranged it in order for him to get the hammer and the sword and to get free of his bindings in this crazy island place. And you know where the island, how he's tied up, which honestly I still believe is overboard. The gods forced one of his sons to murder the other son, and then used the entrails of the murdered son to to tie him up. That is disgusting. Like, why? Why? That's awful. And now, like, only a magical weapon can do it, and he can't hold a magical weapon in his, like, projected form and all of that. And so he's trying to get somebody to, like, cut the bindings, so he cuts the bindings, and now he's free, and Sam is not married, which is great, but man, like, in the first book, I could totally see Loki as the Loki in the movies. Charming, a little self-centered, definitely, jealous of the other people and the trickster and everything, but definitely charming. And you know how everybody's like, oh my gosh, Loki, in the book, or in the movies, and here it's, in the first book, I could definitely see that. In the second book, I just hate him more and more and more. And I just can't even picture Tom Hiddleston as him anymore. Which I think is a good thing. But just drives me insane. Like, why? And because I wanted to like him. Because he's so charismatic. But, you know, he's not. And no, why? And then he gets free. And he's gonna go finish the Ship of Nails. Made from, like, human nails. Man, I thought that, like, Greek and Roman stuff was a little disturbing. Egyptian stuff, weird. This is just... what? I don't even know. Where did this come up? What? This is my face thinking about these myths. Like, what? What? And then we see a little bit more of Thor. I feel like that the rustic part of him is definitely like the myths, but I feel like that the characters are just have too much humor in them. Thor wants to watch his shows on his hammer and he calls it meme, and okay, the first book had a great level of humor and story. And this one, I had to struggle through some of the humor was good, some of it was just overkill. I had to struggle through a lot of overkill to get to the story. I have no idea where this love story is going to go, because usually it's like the two main characters, and it's not, because Sam is in love with Amir, and they are betrothed to be married and all that, and I don't even know what a falafel is, guys. I don't know what a falafel is. If you know what a falafel is, let me know. But I'm not quite sure where the love story is going to go, but with Rick Riordan, it can go anywhere. I mean, that is definitely a thing. I mean, Kane Chronicles spoiler here. If Sadie can date Anubis, anything can happen. Okay, end of spoiler section. Finally, I just want to point out that I love how close the Chase family is, and I love the family ties and all of the talking about family in this book, and especially the fact that Annabeth and Magnus are still connected, and that they still just like trade stories and give each other advice and all of that. And just the last sentences in this book, I think, is what has given me hope. Just the last little paragraph. Annabeth smiled. I don't know the ocean very well, but my boyfriend does. I think it's time you met Percy. Best ending ever! I love Percy so much. I think that was what made me want to like continue with this series, is that the crossovers are going to continue happening, and that I get to see the characters grow and develop, and I can't wait for that. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me a big thumbs up, and click that subscribe button for more, and leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of this book.